Hello, my friends. Good morning to you, and welcome back to a reading of the Spirit's book. We are at chapter 5, and it is titled as The Law of Preservation. We have the subtopics, which are the self-preservation instinct, the means of self-preservation, the enjoyment of material things, necessary and superfluous things, voluntary privation, and mortifications. We continue at the self-preservation instinct, and we are at question 702. Is the self-preservation instinct a law of nature? And then the Spirit answers, absolutely. All living beings possesses it, regardless of their degree of intelligence. In some, it is purely mechanical. In others, it is thought out. Question 703. What was God's purpose in granting the instinct of self-preservation to all living beings? Answer. All beings must collaborate in the designs of providence. That is why God has given them the need to stay alive. Besides, life is necessary for beings to perfect themselves. They sense this instinctively without perceiving it. Now we are at the topic, the means of self-preservation, which comes the following question 704. Since God has given human beings the need to stay alive, does God always provide them with the means of doing so? Answer. Yes, and if they do not find them, it is because they do not understand them. God could not have given humans the need to stay alive without also having given them the means. Hence, the Creator has caused the earth to produce in such a way as to provide for the needs of all its inhabitants. For only that which is necessary is useful. The superfluous never is. Question 705. Why doesn't the earth always produce enough to provide for humans' needs? Answer. Since they are ungrateful, they neglect her. Nevertheless, she's an excellent mother. Frequently, they blame nature for the consequences of their own incompetence or lack of foresight. The earth would always produce what is needed if humans knew how to be content. If she does not supply all their needs, it is because they use her to provide themselves with superfluities instead of necessities. Look at the nomads in the desert. They always find enough to live on because they do not create imaginary needs. But when half of all that is produced is wasted on satisfying fanciful desires, should people wonder at finding nothing the next day and have a reason to pity themselves at being deprived in times of scarcity? In truth, I tell you that nature is not stingy. Rather, people do not know how to control themselves. Question 706. Should we understand only the products of the soil as being the fruits of the earth? Answer. The soil is the original source from which all other resources derive, because, in the last analysis, such resources are only a transformation of the products of the soil. For that reason, we should understand the fruits of the earth to be everything that humans can enjoy in this world. Question 707. The means of subsistence are frequently lacking for certain individuals, even in the midst of the abundance around them. To what is this fact due? Answer. It is primarily due to the selfishness of humans who do not always do what they should. Next, and most often, it is due to humans themselves. Seek, and you shall find. These words do not mean that it is enough to simply look to the earth in order to find what you desire. Instead, you must seek with ardor and perseverance, without indifference, and without allowing yourselves to be discouraged by obstacles that are quite often no more than a means to putting in your tenacity, patience, and firmness to the test. And there is a note from Kardec under this answer saying the following: if civilization multiplies our needs, it also multiplies the sources of labor and the means for living. But one must agree that in this sense there is still much to be done. When civilization has accomplished its task, no one will be able to say that they lack what is needed, except through their own fault. For many, misfortune happens when they choose a path nature has not traced out for them, and that is when they lack the intelligence required to succeed. There is a place in the sun for all, but on the condition that all take their own place and not that of others. Nature cannot be responsible for the vices of social organization and for the consequences of ambition and vanity. We would have to be blind, however, if we did not recognize the progress that the most advanced cultures have made in this sense. Thanks to the laudable efforts that philanthropy and science together have unceasingly put forth for the improvement of humankind's material conditions, and notwithstanding the constant increase in population, insufficiency of production has been attenuated, at least for the most part, and the most calamitous years have no comparison to those in former times. Public hygiene, that element so essential to energy and health, but unknown to our ancestors, is the object of an enlightened mindfulness. The unfortunate and suffering find places of refuge, and science has been put into action everywhere, contributing to the growth of everyone's well-being. Might it be said that we have finally attained perfection? Oh, certainly not. But what has been accomplished so far has given us an idea of what can be done with perseverance if men and women are sensible enough to seek contentment in real and serious things rather than in the utopias that cause them to go backward instead of advancing. Question 708. Aren't there situations in which the means of subsistence do not depend solely on human will, and where the lack of barest necessities is a consequence of circumstances? Answer. These situations are frequently cruel trials which humans must undergo, and to which they know they will be exposed. Their merit is in their submission to God's will, if their intelligence does not furnish them with some means for escaping their difficulty. If death must touch them, they should submit to it without complaint, remembering that their hour of true freedom has arrived, and that despair at the final moment may cause them to lose the fruit of their resignation. Question 709. Have those who in critical situations were obligated to sacrifice their fellow beings to appease their hunger committed a crime? If it was a crime, was it lessened by the need to stay alive, which the preservation instinct has given them? Answer. I have already responded in saying that there is more merit in undergoing all the trials of life with selffulness and courage. In this case, there is a homicide and crime against nature, and it must be doubly punished. Question 710. On worlds where their physical makeup is pure, do the living beings have need of nourishment? Answer: yes, but their food is in keeping with their nature. Such food would not be substantial enough for your dense digestive systems. Likewise, they would not be able to digest yours. New topic. It's titled The Enjoyment of Material Things. We are at question 711. Is the use of the fruits of the earth a right of all humans? Answer: that right is a consequence of the need to stay alive. God would not impose a duty without granting the means to fulfill it. Question 712. Toward what end has God made the enjoyment of material things attractive? Answer: to drive humans to fulfill their missions and also to test them with temptation. Question that comes after this answer: what is the purpose of such temptation? Answer: to develop their reason so that they may learn to keep themselves from excesses. And there is a note from Kardec under this answer saying the following: if humans had only been driven to utilize the fruits of the earth because of their usefulness, their indifference could have compromised the harmony of the universe. God has given them the attraction of pleasure, and in turn incites them to accomplish the designs of providence. However, through this same attraction, God also wills to test them with temptation, and this incites them to abuse. Nonetheless, their reason should free them from it. Question 713. Do enjoyments have bounds traced out by nature? Answer: yes, to show you the limit of what is necessary. But through your excesses, you bring on satiety, and thus you punish yourselves. Question 714. What should be thought of those who seek to satisfy their tastes through all kinds of excesses? Answer: they are unfortunate creatures whom we should pity and not envy, because they are very close to death. Question that comes after this answer: is it physical or moral death that they are close to? Answer: both. And then there is a note from Kardec under this answer saying the following: those who seek to satisfy their tastes through excesses of all kinds place themselves below the animals, because animals at least know how to limit themselves to satisfying their needs. Such persons negate the reason that God has given them for their guidance, and the greater the excesses, the greater is the dominion they give their animal nature over the spiritual. The illness, ailments, and death that result from abuse are also punishments for transgressing God's law. Now there is another topic, which is necessary and superfluous things. Question 715. How can people know the limit of what is necessary? Answer: those who are sensible know it by intuition, but many recognize it at the cost of their own experience. Question 716. Hasn't nature traced out the limit of what is necessary in our own physical organization? Answer: yes, but people are insatiable. Nature has traced out the limits of their needs in their physical organization, but their vices alter their constitution and create artificial needs. Question 717. What should be thought of those who monopolize the fruits of the earth to procure for themselves what is superfluous at the expense of others who lack what is necessary? Answer: they do not understand God's law and will have to answer for the privations they have caused. And there's a note from Kardec under this answer. The line between what is necessary and what is superfluous is not absolute. Civilization has created necessities that do not exist in the primitive state, and the spirits who dictated these precepts do not mean for civilized humans to live like primitives. Everything is relative, and it is up to reason to place each thing in its proper place. Civilization develops moral sense, and at the same time the sentiment of charity, which leads people to mutually support one another. Those who live at the expense of others' privations exploit the benefits of civilization for their own profit. They have only the varnish of civility, just as there are persons who possess no more of religion than its appearance. Now there is another topic, which is voluntary privations, mortifications. Question 718. Does the law of self-preservation oblige us to provide for our own physical needs? Answer: yes, because without energy and health, labor is impossible. Question 719. Are we culpable if we seek our own well-being? Answer: well-being is a natural desire. God only prohibits abuse because it is contrary to self-preservation. God does not consider it a crime for you to seek your own well-being if it is not gained at another's expense and if it does not weaken either your moral or physical strength. Question 720. Do voluntary privations that have an equally voluntary expiation as their purpose have any merit in God's sight? Answer: do good to others and you will have greater merit. Question that comes after this answer. Are there any meritorious voluntary privations? Answer: yes, the privation of meaningless pleasures, because it frees you from matter and elevates your soul. Merit means resisting the temptation that drives you to excess and the taste for useless things, and it means taking from your own necessities in order to give to those in need. If privation is nothing more than pretense, it is only a mockery. Question 721. A life of mortifications through asceticism has been practiced since ancient times and among different cultures. Is it meritorious from any point of view? Answer: ask for whom it is useful, and you have your answer. If it only serves the one who practices it, and if it hinders him or her from doing good to others, it is selfish, whatever may be the pretext under which it is disguised. Submitting oneself to privation by working for others is true mortification and is in accord with Christian charity. Question 722. Is the abstention from certain foods prescribed among various cultures based on reason? Answer: everything that humans can eat without harming their health is permitted. Lawmakers, however, have prohibited certain foods with a useful end in mind. In order to give greater weight to their laws, they have represented them as having come from God. Question 723. Is humankind's use of animals as food contrary to the law of nature? Answer: with your present physical constitution, flesh nourishes flesh. Otherwise, humans would perish. The law of self-preservation imposes on you the duty to preserve your energies and health so that you may fulfill the law of labor. You should therefore eat according to the requirements of your own physical organization. Question 724. Is the abstention from foods, animal or otherwise, meritorious as an expiation? Answer: yes. If you deprive yourselves for the sake of others, but God cannot see the modifications when there is no serious and useful privation. This is why we say that those who only seem to deprive themselves are hypocrites. Question 725. What are we to think of the mutilations practiced on the body of humans or animals? Answer: what is the point of such a question? Always ask whether a thing is useful. What is useless cannot be pleasing to God, and what is harmful is always displeasing. You can be very sure that God is sensitive only to sentiments that raise the soul toward God. It is by practicing the divine laws instead of violating them that you can shake off the burden of your terrestrial matter. Question 726. If the sufferings of this world enable us to evolve, depending on the manner in which we bear them, may we also evolve through sufferings that we create intentionally? Answer: natural sufferings are the only ones that enable you to evolve because they come from God. Intentional sufferings serve no purpose when they have no value for the good of others. Do you believe that those who shorten their lives through superhuman hardships, the bosons, fakirs, and a few fanatics of various sects, progress on their path? Why don't they labor for the good of their neighbors instead? Let them visit the indigent, comfort those who mourn, work for those who are infirm, and endure privations to help them fortunate. Then their life will be useful and pleasing to God. When you only have yourselves in mind in the intentional hardships to which you subject yourselves, it is selfishness. When you suffer for others, it is the practice of charity. Such are the precepts of Christ. Question 727. Since we should not create intentional sufferings for ourselves that are of no use to others, should we nevertheless protect ourselves from those that we foresee or from those that threaten us? Answer: the self-preservation instinct has been given to all beings against dangers and sufferings. Whip your spirit and not your body. Mortify your pride and stifle your selfishness, that serpent devouring your heart, and you will do more for your progress than through self-inflictions that no longer have a place in this day and age. Well, guys, I hope you have liked this reading as much as I do, and I'll see you next time. God bless you all. Big kiss. Bye-bye.